Mr. Mani Ratnam or Raju Irani, even Vikram Vedha, I think directors here,
Pushkar and
Gayatri, Sozal is. What sort of help did you take from these guys?
I couldn't go to a Rajkumar Hirani or a Mani Ratnam because direction was thrust upon me 20 days or 25 days before the shoot. I'm not qualified to be a director. I don't think I have the patience to be a director. But the choice was either drop the film or take this plunge.
You worked with, I think, Shah Rukh Khan in the Hindi version and Suriya in the Tamil version.
Mr. Shah Rukh Khan is a very kind-hearted soul. He went out of his way to accommodate this film. Suriya is really a brother to me. When he came to know that this film was being made and I was directing it and I needed a character and Shah Rukh was doing it, I asked him, I said, will you? And he said, what do you mean? You think you have a choice? Hi, this is R. Madhavan and you're watching Bollywood Hungama.
Okay, so considering you have the experience of OTT as well, would you want to maybe release like a larger version, longer version on any OTT?
Oh, thanks for telling me. I think it now that you mention it, no, the film was not shot for 8 hours. I'm saying I need 8 hours to tell his story.
Right.
But I think it might be interesting to consider telling the rest of his struggles and his achievements also in the form of a series.
Right, like a sequel or something maybe. That is something.
You know what, brother? What you're saying is right. The only thing I have a problem with is that everything is done is so larger than life, no? Like the sound of the rocket engine that he's developed. Like we have done many of the firsts in this film that has never been done before in any film in the world. And I'm sorry I'm saying it, but to sound cocky, but it's true. You might have seen films where we have rocket launches and satellites in space, but you'll never see a film which has shown you a rocket engine.
Right.
And a rocket engine looks like a piece of diamond jewelry. It's brilliant to look at. It's beautiful. A woman would want to just hug it and wear it on her neck, but that's the last thing you want to do when it starts. It's the most, it's the loudest noise known to man. And we've tried to do that on the screen. When the rocket engine fires, you get a sense of foreboding that you won't be able to explain why. We've tried to do all that, So if we have to show the rest of his story, then I think somehow there'll be a sort of no justice done to it because you don't want to see it in a small screen. It should all be in larger screens.
Achha, like that. Okay, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Okay, and I believe you've done Sing Sound and a lot of in the film as well. So as a first-time director, what sort of help did you get from people that you've worked with, some of the biggest names, be it Mr. Mani Ratnam or Raju Irani, like some of the really big, even Vikram Vedha, that I think directors they
Pushkar and
Gayatri, Sozal is. They pronounce it differently.
Sure.
Yeah.
I know it's difficult for a Tamilian for me to pronounce it.
Yes. So
Vortex.
What sort of help did you take from these guys?
I showed Pushkar and Gayatri the script because they come from the same sort of a background as I do. They're technically inclined. They studied in the US. They know what I wanted to do. So once the script was ready, I ran it past them. And they were like, are you crazy? I mean, are you actually going to go through with this? But they liked the script very much. I couldn't go to a Rajkumar Hirani or a Mani Ratnam because direction was thrust upon me 20 days or 25 days before the shoot. I'm not qualified to be a director. I don't think I have the patience to be a director. But the choice was either drop the film or take this plunge. And Dr. Nambi believed that I had enough knowledge to be able to show the story. And my investors and my producers were ready to back me because they said, we trust you. But it was definitely, a large, huge leap of faith for me. And going to these directors would not have helped simply because the kind of direction we were heading with this film, shooting it in 3 languages simultaneously. Each of my actors spoke 3 languages. So अगर उनको कहना कि यार इंजन के पार्ट्स ले आ जल्दी से यो वांट इंजन और पार्ट्स शीघ्र मंडाया get me those engine parts. Yes, it's like it had to be spontaneous and we had to cast accordingly. We couldn't wait forever to get people to get the lines. We need them to do the workshops for months together before we went on to the shoot because my film couldn't afford waiting for a long time for them to get the things right. Nobody has done this before. Not Rajkumar Hirani, not Mani Ratnam, nobody, not in 3 languages. Nobody has done a film on rocket science like this or on a highly technical subject like this. So I do not know what I could have gone to them for. Also, I didn't get the time. But I did run a couple of my scenes past them after the film was done and they had very interesting suggestions to give me and I'm very grateful for that.
All right, and you worked with, I think, Shah Rukh Khan in the Hindi version and Suriya in the Tamil version. Shah Rukh Khan, you came together in Zero. Ironically, this is the next film that Shah Rukh will be seen post Zero. So a lot of his fans, they're waiting for it as well.
Well, I hope so. whatever is best for the film happens. But Mr. Shah Rukh Khan is a very kind-hearted soul. He went out of his way to accommodate this film. In fact, he insisted that he wanted to be part of it after I told him a bit of the story while we were shooting for Zero in the US. And I thought he was kidding, but his team went out of their way and accommodated, and they said, no, he wants to be a part of the film, even if it means some passing in the background. And I said, don't tell me all this. I'll start believing there's a possibility and it'll kill me. They said, no, he's serious. He wants to be. Is there a role that he can do? And I said, yeah, there is a substantial role that has a very important part in the film. And they said, how many dates do you want and when do you want it? That's all. He never took money from me. He never took caravan money or his assistant's money or his costume money, nothing. He just came and he was there for me on all the days I asked. And he's shot it not just in Hindi, he shot it in English as well. So he's done 2 versions of the film.
Okay.
And for somebody to do that in the industry without making me feel so indebted, has got to be a huge amount of grace in that personality.
You've always been fond of him. In fact, from whatever I remember, I think when you started off, Rehna Hai Tere Dil Mein, I think people also compared you guys in terms of the acting styles as well.
Yes, I think you start becoming a little bit of somebody you admire, and I think my stammering in that film was associated with that of Shah Rukh's debut. And my wife is a huge fan of his, and he's gone out of his way every time we've met to make her feel special. I'll never forget that. I mean, I've learned how to be a star and how to make people's life more easy, largely from Shah Rukh.
And Suriya is there in Tamil version, another huge star.
Suriya is really a brother to me in terms of we've known each other for 25 years now, and always supported each other. Always we get into our debates and arguments at the same time. He tells me where I should be going and I should tell him where he's going. But when he came to know that this film was being made and I was directing it and I needed a character and Shah Rukh was doing it, I asked him, I said, will you? And he said, what do you mean? You think you have a choice? And he flew down with his own staff again, didn't take a money. And I said, hey, let me just pay for something. He said, you would have done the same for me. And he got his writers to make sure he got his lines right. So, boss, if you ask me if there are good people in this industry, then based on these 2 people, I'll tell you there are gems.
There are gems. Great.
Hi, this is R. Madhavan, and you're watching Bollywood Hungama.